What do you call that? So, can the same chemical do both of them? Can sodium be reduced and then be oxidized? Yeah, it's got to. The whole thing is how you carry energy around. Now, if I reduce sodium, am I going to make the charge more positive or less positive? If I reduce...
More positive, right?
No, if I reduce...
That's gonna make it
Remember, it's about the charge.
less positive.
Because I added or took away electrons.
Added.
There you go. Now, when I want to oxidize the sodium, when I want to actually get the electron back off of it, because ain't all OIL, oxidation is lost. When I lose the electron from sodium, we say we've oxidized it. But main thing, we can provide energy. All the electron does is provide a way to carry energy. That's all it's doing. If you have the electron, you got the energy. If you don't have it, you don't have it, but you can get it back. And the mitochondria do it all the time. Okay? There's another way to look at it. When you react copper and magnesium, this is an oxidation reduction. It's called a redox reaction. One thing happened was, what happens to this to make it become that? Gain or lose electrons? From here to here. How would you erase that +2? Would you gain 2 electrons or take 2 electrons away?
Take 2 away.
That become +4 then.
Gain 2.
If you took 2 away, that become +4. How do you erase those 2?
Gain 2.
Give it 2 negative. Because what's +2, -2 equal to?
0.
That. So, I said reduction, didn't I? Did the charge not reduced? Didn't +2 become nothing? And to do that, the copper picked up 2 electrons. Now, look at the magnesium though. He was nothing, and now that sucker is +2. What happened to make him become +2? Gain or lose 2 electrons?
He gained.
Huh? He had to lose 2. Because if he gained 2, he would become a -2, wouldn't he? So, if you lose 2 electrons, if you're nothing, and you lose 2 electrons, then you got 2 protons that ain't being killed by the 2 you lost. That's oxidation. Or is a loss becoming positive. Reduction, rig, R-I-G, gain, is the gain of electrons becoming negative or becoming less positive. And this is now carrying electrons that can be used by tearing them off. Here's the one which is your charged battery. This is the one that's your battery that's been dead, been used. This is your charged battery. This one just gave off the electrons to drive something. Now it's become -2. But this word right here is not about the electron. It's about the charge. And remember, if you're nothing and I give you 2 negatives, what do you become? Negative how many? 1 ounce. Or rig. If I gave you electrons, is that oxidation or reduction?
Reduction.
Reduction. Now, if you are nothing, and then I took away 2 electrons, what do you become? +2. Well, if I took away 2, or rig, which one is that?
Oxidized.
Oxidation is lost. There you go. So if you're losing electrons, I am oxidizing you. If you're gaining electrons, I'm reducing you. But you didn't reduce because you gained. You reduced because your charge dropped by 2. That's why you reduced. All right? Now, oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative. Now, if you're oxidizing, are you gaining or losing? All
Losing.
You're losing. Now, phosphorylation, that sounds like phosphorus. Well, that's what happens. When ATP, which is your charged battery, loses that phosphorus, out comes the energy. Well, if you lost the phosphorus, that's the oxidative part. You didn't gain the phosphorus, did you? So, now, and the phosphorylation means I'm losing the phosphorus group. And when you lose the phosphorus, out comes the energy. And your match is lit and you start the fire. Now, ADP has no power until I put a phosphorus back on it. So, what do you think reductive phosphorylation is? I'm adding it back. But really, which one drives your system? Oxidative phosphorylation or reductive phosphorylation? Which one is actually releasing energy for you? That's the one. We discussed him. That's the one keeping you warm right now. That's the one making your heart beat. That one. If that's the one being oxidative or OIL, you lose the electrons or the phosphorus, and out comes energy. It works beautifully. And I didn't know any of this stuff 30 years ago. Boy, I wish I had. Of course, back then, they might not know it back then. This might be new stuff. I don't know. But I've heard about redox reactions. They're called redox. Stands for reduction/oxidation. We call it redox. And now I know what they're talking about. And the oxidative means like oil, lose. Phosphorus. And if I take ATP and lose the phosphorus, I get ADP plus the phosphorus floating around there. But what I got was energy. That's what I wanted. All right? Now, what's a eukaryote? And what's a prokaryote? Would you find mitochondria in prokaryotes?
No.
They're none in there. Only eukaryotes have mitochondria. Wait, well, how the prokaryote get energy? If it's got none of those energy making, how do they get energy? They have another method. You know that hydrogen sulfide that kills some things?
Yeah.
That's how the prokaryote gets power. He doesn't have the mitochondria. He must have another stupid way of getting energy. He uses that hydrogen sulfide. There are some bacteria love in these sulfur springs. I would kill anything else living there. But they go, oh, I love it. I love it. And you'd be going, God, I'm going to die right here. Now, if you are a eukaryote, and whether you're a plant with your chloroplast, or you're me with my mitochondria, you have membranes, don't you? The machinery for doing the oxidation reduction is in the membrane, not inside the chloroplast, not inside the mitochondria. It's in the membrane. You know how the mitochondria is folded up inside, all the little folds on this thing? Well, in that membrane where you'll find all these things happen. It's not inside what's called the stroma. It's actually in the membrane that these things. And the more membrane you have, guess what? The more energy you produce. If my mitochondria average 50 membranes per mitochondrion and yours average 100, who's more energetic? You would be more energetic. But now, if I have 500 of those 50 membraners, and you have only 10 of your 500, then you're more energetic. See, it works out. It works out. Now, electrons, if you take a rubber ball on top of stairs, let it go down the stairs, will it bounce the same height every time or higher every time it hits down?
Higher.
Why? It's the energy, right? Well, the electron, as they move down this chain, it's like a staircase. They give off energy. I mean, it's just like that ball bouncing on your stairs. Energy release. Energy release. Now, when it hits the bottom of the floor and rolls off, no energy, right? So, as long as electrons are falling down your chain, every time they fall, out comes energy. makes ATP, makes ATP. That's cool. Now I knew about they're called ETCs. I knew about those 30 years ago. Didn't understand them like I do now. Because I reckon, like I always tell you, if you want to know something, teach it. Because you'll learn it, buddy. And now I've learned that through teaching. I've gained so much more knowledge. We had one professor at school who made us teach classes. And I taught about the way sharks' teeth are formed. I've never got that this day. If he had told me the thing, I probably forgot it. But I wouldn't mind having y'all teach, but it takes so long. And plus, I don't have to reteach them you taught wrong.
Exactly.
Because, could you see how you could teach oxidation reduction wrong?
Yes.
If you thought reduction was talking about electrons, see, you could be all wrong, and I'd be going, well, I don't want to embarrass him, but shut up, you know. So I don't go there.
You could just throw the chalk eraser.
Huh? Yeah, I need to say, you're wrong.
Quiet chalk eraser.
All right. Now, prokaryotes, I can tell you, they don't have mitochondria. But the proteins that mitochondria would have had, they got the proteins. If you got the proteins, then you can do the stuff mitochondria used to do. They ain't got the proteins all in one area like we have. They have the proteins. Now, so they can still, now, see that NADH right there? That's nicotinamide dihydroxide. Don't worry about that. That bad boy. Now, if I were to remove the electron from him, would he become negative or positive if I remove the electron from him? Positive. Okay? Or, if I were to give him a positive, what would he become?
You mean give him a negative?
If I gave him a positive, what would he become? Positive. Can you go both ways? How can I make you positive in this reaction? I can either do what? I either give you some positive protons, that make you positive, or I can take away what?
Electrons.
And that make you positive. It goes both ways. And I'll tell you in a minute how it works. Protons, there's a pump. Now I'm about to show you the pump. Protons can do work. Okay? And we're going to discuss reducing this NADH later on. But right now, just understand that it is the protons that's moving across the membrane of mitochondria. They're going to come back in. But you know, ever seen a revolving door like in an old-fashioned, and you walk through? As you walk through, could that revolving door be used to make something happen under the store? Could it be a generator? And a lot of people went through with spin, right? Now, if folks stop going through, what's going to happen?
Store crashes.
Well, it's like a bicycle with a little generator on it, and faster you ride, the brighter your light goes. When you stop, light goes out unless you got a battery on it. This is going to show you how it works in the mitochondria. All right. Now, if I pump protons out of the mitochondria, I'm going to have a lot more outside than inside, right? If I pump them outside, I'll find more outside. That's going to be a concentration gradient. Does water roll uphill or downhill?
Down.
So the gradient is, okay, if I got a bottle of perfume, all right, open the lid, will the smell go in or come out?
Come on.
It'll come out. Because there's more inside there than where? Out here. And where there's more, is going to do what?
Come on.
Going to diffuse out. Now, if I got all these protons outside the mitochondria, aren't they trying to get back inside?
No.
Naturally?
Yes.
I mean, why did, in our own country, why did people go west from the East Coast?
Because there are too many people.
Forever, to me, it's concentration. Now, in the case of the pioneers, was there not a concentration gradient going west? Now, how many folks gave up and came back east?
Not many.
Not, but there were some of them, I ain't gonna hack this. I like my wife, for example. I would love to live in the country. She is not a country girl. She like run down to Winn-Dixie. I mean, when I would love to live there and walk outside my underwear and not be worried about somebody report me to the police, and go out there and shoot my 22 at target practice in the city. But she likes the conveniences. Now out there, the fire truck, did you call it? By the time they got there, they'd be burned slap down. Around here now, I gotta get a fighting chance because I didn't get there. Now, in this case, in the case of the mitochondria, it's driven by the protons. I must pump the protons out so they can come back in and spin that revolving door for me. If they're already in, they can't spin it, can they? Like when the door opens, the doors on a sale day, and you go rushing in. Well, that's going to spin. And to keep it spinning, I got to have you go back out and come back in again, right? Well, in the case of the mitochondria, they pump all the people out. All the protons are pumped out on purpose. Because they know they're going to come back in through that revolving door. That revolving door is going to make the energy come back ATP. And I got a picture showing that later on. Here, right here. I put it on just, I guess, maybe an hour ago. I was sitting there about 15 to 12 thinking, how can I show them this? I found 3 pictures.
Yeah, I can show it.
Now, this is oxidative. Now, right here what's happening. You see ADP right there? And you see phosphorus? Well, to make this become this, I got to provide energy, right? But this is that revolving door. These hydrogens are pumped out through the electron chain. The electron provides energy to get the hydrogen. Now, but they don't want to be out here. They want to be in here. So the only way in is that revolving door right there. And that's called ATP synthase. ATP synthase does what? Make or destroy ATP.
Makes.
If it's synthase now. So every time there's a person going in, the door spins, provides the energy to make this hook to this and become that. Now, this one does it or does it not have energy that you can use?
It does.
It does. And as these pass back through here, you keep, would this be anabolism or catabolism? So you do anabolism to get here. And what drives the machinery? The passing of those hydrogens. How to get out there? The electron pump pushed them out there. For one reason. They got to come back in. When they come back in, they're going to make ATP. Here's another look at it. From another source, this is called matrix. This is inside the mitochondria. Let me back up a minute. So there's inside the mitochondria. It's that membrane right there. Like a cell membrane, doesn't it? That's a mitochondrial membrane. All membranes look like that. Not just your cell membrane. A lot of folks think that is only for one thing. Nuh-uh. If you're a membrane, you look like that. Cell membrane, nuclear membrane, mitochondrial membrane. That's how membranes are made. With the phospholipids outside, the bilipid layer. Now, the next picture I show you. Again, there's these. Now, if you're on the chart, any element with one proton, what do we call it? It's hydrogen. If you are one proton, you are hydrogen. So if I move one proton, I'm actually moving hydrogen on it. That's why I said H plus in there. If you're 2 protons, you're helium. You don't see 2 of them, do you?
No.
So if I say you're a plus, then by George, you're hydrogen. Because that's the proton. Now again, they're going down through here, and as they pass through, they provide the energy to make ATPs. This whole thing right here is in the membrane. It's in the membrane. It only works as these protons pass through the membrane and make this thing spin like a generator to make the ATP. I got one more picture. There's another view of it. again, there's that mitochondrial membrane. There's all the H's out here. It's in the cavern, don't worry about names of it. But as the H's pass through, they provide the energy to make these two come together and become ATP. Now, for this to happen, for this to go here, is that oxidation or is that reduction? To build, oxidation, reduction. All three. Because you are gaining. Now, when this goes somewhere to your muscles and that phosphate is ripped off and your muscles get energy, what is that one called? When you lose the phosphorus. That's the oxidation. So I can oxidize, so that's the redox. That's the redox. Redox. R-E-D. Reduction dash ox. It works right there. That's all there is to it. All right. And like I said before, it's the flow of those protons. Oh, by the way, that is an enzyme. It is called ATP. See the H right there? Synthase. ATP synthase is an enzyme. It's stuck in the membrane of the mitochondria. And how it works is the electrons provide power to kick out the protons who are going to come right back in again to the synthase. But in doing that, I'm making ATP. I told you, mitochondria make ATP. That's how. Pretty cool, isn't it? How that works. Now, so the flow of electrons through the enzyme, ATP synthase, they phosphorylate the ADP. And you told me that was oxidation reduction if you add the phosphorus.
Reduction.
So they say synthase phosphorylation. It's also reduction phosphorylation. What could be called synthase for? Because you're making, right? Okay. Add the phosphorus group, thus capturing. And when you add the group, do you want the group or the energy ribbon? What are you trying to get? I want the energy ribbon. I don't care what I want the energy. If I got to add phosphorus, if I got to add I'll add oxygen. I want the energy. So by taking ADP and giving it a phosphorus and turning it into ATP, I have now saved me some energy that when I take ATP out somewhere, there's my battery to make something happen. Now, how many times can you use ATP?
Once.
Then it turns back to what?
ATP.
And goes back to the mitochondria and does what? Same thing again. Does it ever stop? All right. What time is it? I'm not going to get into here. This is some good stuff.
Where are we going?
But I've gotten to, like I told you, I've got as far as I wanted to go really today. And I'm stopping right there. So the test you're going to get tomorrow is going to be a PowerPoint test. I'll have you sit one chair apart. So you'll be sitting side by side. We'll get you spread out of here. I'm not doing a red and it's just, I don't have time to make that many slides. So I'll just make my slideshow. And we'll scatter out in here a little bit and we'll take the test tomorrow. The labs are done.